that woman you saw?
No.
Only a spoonful.
Already seen that.
Dramatic dash cam video out of upstate New
This'll
York
work.
where a crash caused a massive pileup.
Man,
You can
these
see a
look
truck
awful.
plow through a line
I
of cars.
sure hope that
One
doesn't happen to me.
caught fire.
Cars are the backbone of the US. Without them, we would barely have ways to get around and there'd be no bumper-to-bumper traffic on my morning commute. While some countries like Japan have figured out efficient public transportation, we prefer a more private transport experience in massive, massive cars. The US began to gradually adopt sport utility vehicles, or SUVs, in the late 80s and early 90s after the surprising success of the Jeep Cherokee, and some companies like Ford and Chevy have stopped sedan production altogether, choosing to go all in on SUVs and light trucks. Even worldwide, SUVs have begun to dominate, accounting for a whopping 48% of sales in 2023. While to some, this may seem only natural given the SUV's supposedly superior safety, cargo capacity, and style, many environmentalists, car safety advocates, and scholars take great issue with the prevalence of the SUV. They view the SUV craze as contradictory to sustainability goals, and the vehicles as unsafe manifestations of public fears, especially in their earlier iterations. They questioned if Melissa really needs her Chevy Suburban tank to take little Brandon to T-ball, or, more academically, they question if SUVs actually pose a significant threat, or if concerns are simply overblown. And if they are a problem, why are they so prevalent? What is the root cause? So, are SUVs a problem? In terms of their environmental impact, the prevalence of SUVs poses significant risks to climate goals. SUVs have larger and less aerodynamic profiles, and they're estimated to emit 20 to 25% more CO2 per kilometer than the average sedan. In comparison to cars with similar and oftentimes more cargo space, like minivans, they still get worse fuel economy. Most SUVs are also classified as light trucks in the US under the Corporate Average Fuel Economy, or CAFE standards, granting automakers leniency in fuel economy standards. In short, SUVs are not environmentally friendly vehicles, especially in comparison to other vehicle classes. As for safety, SUVs pose a contradictory understanding of the concept. SUV owners and prospective buyers often laud the safety of their chosen vehicle, but the only people who might be safer are the occupants. Due to their massive size, SUVs are not crash compatible with sedans, increasing the likelihood of a serious injury or fatality in a crash among the people in the sedan. According to a meta-analysis of dozens of safety studies, SUVs also pose a significantly greater threat to cyclists, pedestrians, and children, increasing the likelihood of death in a collision by 44%. Their higher seating creates large blind spots in front of the vehicle, which can hide 10 little Brandons, and they are much more prone to rollovers. The same CAFE designation of light truck also lowers the safety standards as SUVs in comparison to other passenger vehicle classes. Overall, they are not safer vehicles. And finally, their prevalence also upholds energy-intensive standards for the burgeoning market of electric vehicles. Researchers from Australia and China posit that the popularity of larger vehicles can negate climate change action, especially EV production. Electric SUVs consume much more energy to create and require more morally dubious materials for batteries. And in countries with fossil fuel power grids, electric SUV owners might have to drive over 100,000 kilometers or 62,000 miles in order to create a net benefit. Simply, they're not good for the market, they're not good for the environment, and they are not safer vehicles. The prevalence of SUVs is obviously problematic, especially given the severity of the climate crisis and safety concerns. So one must wonder why SUVs are so popular. What forces planted them into the collective psyche of Americans and now people across the world? What is the root cause of their overt and ever-growing popularity? One answer might be advertising. Since the first Jeep Cherokee, SUVs have been positioned as outdoor, off-road capable vehicles. Despite the fact that Melissa drives her Suburban from her office job to T-ball to wine night on perfectly paved roads, the car was advertised to her as an off-road beast. SUV owners have been seen to repeat this advertising when describing the advantages of their vehicles, which is evidence that supports the significance of this advertising. A New Zealand study corroborates the off-road advertising, but positions it as a part of a much larger marketing campaign which targets masculinity. In analyzing what they call macho marketing, the researchers posit that SUV marketing exudes aggression and dominance, playing to the masculine sensibilities of power and prestige. While the study is relatively recent, it seems can be seen in marketing across many decades, which means it works. SUV owners buy SUVs because they want to embody that aggression and dominance, or they want to feel powerful and prestigious. In 2005, both Josh Lawyer and David Campbell separately investigated the prevalence of the SUV. While these sources are old, they review the roots of the modern SUV ownership, couched in fervor and fear. Lawyer connects the prevalence of the SUV in the US to a fear of crime and a culture of fear in general, defining euphemistic safety and euphemistic space. In regards to the former, the 1980s brought a renewed fear of crime, and the SUV appealed to a militaristic sense of security, self-defense, and invincibility. With names that imply conquest, the SUV provides an aggressive form of safety and independence, and even a form of social camouflage, as their original iterations came from car manufacturers. As a result, the SUV implies class solidarity, in sharp contrast to the flashy luxury sedans. Euphemistic space, on the other hand, exemplifies social hierarchies. Lawyer posits that the physical space which SUVs occupy can be translated into a metaphorical distance between classes. The higher ride is a physical manifestation of the wealthy presiding over the lower classes, and its large size creates tangible social insulation. One who drives an SUV can both aggressively defend themselves while establishing an oxymoronic image, an authentic working-class, uppity, wealthy individual. David Campbell offers a similarly militaristic understanding of the SUV, but relates its popularity to the culture of war and the redefinition of the American identity during the Bush Jr. administration. He investigates the then-growing popularity of the H-2 Hummer, a civilian version of the standard Humvee military vehicle first introduced in the Gulf War. With growing insecurity and anxiety surrounding the sanctity of the U.S., the H-2, and by proxy the SUV, became an urban assault vehicle for the homeland city at war. SUVs began to embody not just safety and luxury, but an uniquely American tribalism, which reinforced U.S. hegemonic power across the globe and across the nation. The SUV's masculine framing is then not an independent creation, but rather a result of a renewed American identity and a manifestation of conquest. In the modern day, their prevalence worldwide can be seen as a physical form of hegemonic masculinity, whether that be power, prestige, dominance, or aggression, specifically curated for different cultures. As Campbell notes, the SUV is imperial. So where does Melissa fit into all of this? Why did she buy an SUV? She, like most SUV owners, bought her Suburban because she believes it was the right choice. A 2022 Canadian study into SUV owners demonstrates that safety, space capacity, and status are still among the most cited reasons to purchase an SUV. While in the contemporary context these factors are simply associated with an SUV, their roots are obvious. SUVs exemplify our fear of the unknown, our fear of death, and our fear of those who are different. They are the manifestations of the desire for a protective barrier, a militaristic stronghold which positions its user high above all in a sanctuary of comfort and luxury. Melissa wants to protect little Brandon, and the SUV holds a special place in our culture, and increasingly the global culture, as an impenetrable wall of power and prestige. This is the root cause of the prevalence of the SUV. No matter how the car actually performs, it will remain above other vehicle classes because it represents stability in times of insecurity, safety in times of fear, and status in an ever-changing world. It is not a car, it is the car.